Quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is not something that you need to care about how it's derived. Nobody cares unless you want to be a math major. The only thing you have to remember is the formula itself. You just have to remember this right there. You should be able to throw it aside and you should be able to write it out from memory that x equals negative b plus or minus root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And these things all come from the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c. And that's where the a and the b and the c come from. So if we put a little underline there, there's a, there's b, there's c. We've got b showing up in several places, we've got a in a couple places, and we've got c as well. So if you can remember that formula, you can solve any quadratic equation using it. So if you can, even if you can complete the squares, even if you can use a square root formula, even if you can factor it, you can still use the quadratic formula as well. The downside, of course, is that it takes longer and it's more prone to error because it's got more terms in it. So if you can factor, you might as well factor. Now something else that you got to notice is that you've got this square root sign and you got a minus in the middle there. And that means that you have to remember the rules for dealing with radicals and radicands and all that kind of stuff from back in Math 10. Because of the minus sign here, it's very hard to simplify in here, so what you probably have to do is you probably have to work this all out and then see if you can take a square root or see if you can simplify the radical once it's all in one term. To give you an example of that, I'll give you an example of that right now. Let's look here. This is exercise set 6.3, and let's look at the very first one. It says that you have to simplify the expression and leave in radical form. Well, this is what it looks like. It's minus 4 plus or minus the root of negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1, which is a waste of time, times negative 8. And the reason it's looking like that, 2 times 1, the reason it's looking like that is probably b is negative 4, and that's why it's minus 4, and that's why that looks like that, and that's why it's minus 4 squared. A is probably a 1, and c is a negative 8. So I'm going to guess that the original formula looked like this. It looked like x squared minus 4x minus 8 equals 0. That's probably the original. And that's what's led to this quadratic formula. And to simplify all this, well, minus 4, which is 4, plus or minus. It's all going to be over 2 times 1, so it's all over 2. Root negative 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times 1 is 4 times minus 8. So 4 times minus 8 is negative 32, so minus 32 is actually plus 32. So we can simplify that, 4 plus or minus, because we got the plus or minus here, I'm going to leave it over 2 for now. 16 and 32 is 48, so it's root 48. Now, we can simplify this a little bit. We can say 4 plus or minus, well, root 48, we can pull out a 16 out of here, so it would be 4 root 3, and that would all be over 2. So we can, because it's plus or minus, it's essentially two different equations, 4 plus 4 root 3 over 2 and 4 minus 4 root 3 over 2. And simplifying this further, well, I ran out of paper, so I'm not going to bother, but you get the idea.